Behold the donkey. That's our subject today here for the Wonder Files. I'm Mary Trainor. I'll be your host for our time together as we continue to revere this amazing animal. So for other donkey fans out there, I thought it would be a good idea to review some of the charms of the donkey. For instance, why do donkeys and humans bond so well? Well, it could be that donkeys have social and emotional traits that match our own surprisingly well. Donkeys crave connection. They are herd animals who form deep, lasting attachments. A donkey will often bond with a single person the same way a dog bonds with its owner. Donkeys remember kindness. Donkeys have excellent long-term memories. If someone treats them gently, they respond with a life of trust. Donkeys like routine and calm people. Humans who are steady, predictable, and kind are exactly the kind of companions that donkeys prefer. Donkeys communicate clearly using their ears, those big old ears, their eyes, their posture, and soft sounds. People pick up on these cues more easily than with horses. So the relationship with a donkey feels more like a two-way relationship. Some people ask, what is the difference between donkeys and mules? Well, if you're not around farm animals a lot, I guess you could say they bear a resemblance, but they are different. And so let's talk about that. A mule is a hybrid. That means the horse is always the mother, a donkey is the father. As to personality and behavior, donkeys are calm, thoughtful, cautious, and affectionate. Mules are athletic, tough, energetic, more like horses in work ethic, but with donkey intelligence. Size and strength of the two, well, the donkeys are smaller and stockier. Mules are larger and stronger, often used as pack animals. Vocalizations, what do they sound like? Well, the donkey, we know, the classic hee-haw. Mules, a strange blend of a whinny and a bray. Fertility, donkeys can reproduce. Mules are almost always sterile because they have mismatched chromosomes. What are the reasons so many people adopt rescue donkeys? Well, sad to say, donkeys are often mistreated or abandoned. Many come from overworked farms, hoarding situations, or have been treated like neglected property. Sanctuaries take them in, and adopters step forward to give them a peaceful life. So what do donkeys need in retirement? Well, they don't need athletic work. They just want space to roam, a buddy. They've got to have a buddy, either another donkey or animal companion. Often dogs fill in this purpose. They need regular brushing and gentle handling. They make wonderful companions, and people adopting them simply because they are gentle with children and are entertaining, keep predators away from goats or sheep, thrive on affection. Helping a donkey is emotionally rewarding. Rescue donkeys often blossom with attention. Watching a shy donkey turn into a trusting one is deeply meaningful for the adopters. If you're not yet convinced how cool donkeys can be, let me share a little story about a donkey named Lumen. The Donkey Who Listened is the title of this story. Under the wide bowl of evening sky lived a small gray donkey named Lumen. Nobody knew why he was called that, perhaps because his eyes shone like two lamps in the dark, or perhaps because he always had a way of brightening wherever it was he stood. Lumen lived on a quiet hillside farm with chickens who quarreled, goats who bragged, and a horse who always wanted to be in front. Lumen asked for very little: a patch of sunshine, a friend to stand beside, and someone to listen to. And listening, as it turned out, was Lumen's great gift. One autumn afternoon, a little girl named Ruth wandered up the hill with the look of someone carrying way too many thoughts. Her boots scraped the earth as if each step weighed more than the last. Lumen lifted his long ears and watched her come. "Hi," Ruth said, rubbing her sleeve across her cheek. "You don't know me." Lumen stepped closer and simply waited. "My best friend moved away," she whispered, "and everyone says I should be happier for her. I am, sort of, but I'm lonely." Lumen pressed his soft forehead against her shoulder, not pushing, not nudging, just there. Ruth felt the warmth sink through her like sunlight. "You're good at this," she said. "Listening, I mean." Lumen blinked slowly. His ears made a gentle half circle as if gathering her words and tucking them safely away. Ruth visited every day after that. Sometimes she talked, sometimes she didn't. Sometimes she brought carrots, which Lumen accepted as solemnly as if they were royal gifts. And slowly the heaviness in Ruth's footsteps softened. Winter crept in, the kind of cold that makes the air ring. One especially bitter morning, Ruth trudged up the hill, wrapped like a bundle of laundry. "My mom says you're old," she told Lumen. "She says donkeys don't live forever," with a worried look on her face. Lumen lifted his head and looked at her with those steady lantern eyes. Snowflakes melted on his eyelashes. "I don't want you to go," Ruth said, her voice cracking. And for the first time, Lumen made a sound that wasn't a bray or a sigh, but something gentle and deep, like warm water poured from a ladle. He bent his head and breathed against her mittened hand as if he were to say, "I'm here now, and now is enough." And Lumen grew slower. The chickens still quarreled, the goat still bragged, and the horse still insisted on being in front. But whenever Ruth climbed the hill, Lumen turned toward her, ears forward, ready to listen. One spring evening, when the sky looked dipped in rose, Ruth leaned her cheek against his neck. "You know," she whispered, "I'm not lonely anymore. You taught me how to stay still long enough to hear the world answering back." Lumen didn't say a word, of course. He didn't need to. He simply stood there, patient, luminous, and full of listening, until the shadows grew long and the first star appeared, bright as a promise. And as long as Ruth remembered how to listen, the hillside never felt empty again.